little wreck conversation, some deep reactions, please. All this comics narration ain't late me. A little more talk, a lot less read. A little fight, baby, is what I need. Close the trade, open up your brains. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Vendillo 2021.
Thank you, Vandello, and welcome back to a new season of Rhett Conversations. My name is Josh Wasta, aka Fallout Fieri, and with me, oh man, I totally, out of all the preparation, forgot a song lyric. Yeah, so we'll skip it this time. We'll save you. It's Leia Cameron, everybody.
Hello. I was sitting there yesterday. I'm like, I wonder what he's going to come up with this.
Oh God, no! I so much sinister. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, I could see how this would fry your brain. Yeah.
Oh my God! And with us, a newbie to the graphically novel shows, but a longtime listener and supporter, Mr. Cory Peter. Mr. Peter, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys doing?
It's we'll see how you're feeling at the end of this. If you feel just like we feel now, because we are going to do Sins of Sinister, which is a fairly recent X-Men event, in this very X-Men-y, in the most X-Men of ways. But before we do that, this is your first time on the show. So, Cory, you want to give us your background with comic books?
Yeah. So I started getting into like kind of nerdy stuff more like about fourth grade. It's when I discovered Star Trek. And
Nice.
At that point, like, I was kind of embarrassed about anything nerdy because everybody made fun of it. But about that time, I'd go shopping with my mom at the grocery store, and of course they had the little spindle with the comic books on it.
Yes.
And right there, like, I kept stopping looking at them, and finally, like, I saw one that I really wanted and stopped and asked my mom if I could get it. She said yes, and I got X-Men #1.
Ooh.
So that's where I started. I didn't know anything about that it was a new X-Men series versus an old, versus the Uncanny, all that stuff. And didn't understand that at the time, but just grabbed it and went with it. And from there, got really into Spider-Man. Stayed with X-Men. Wolverine, of course, was my guy back then, like everybody. Huge into Spider-Man. My oldest son, actually, his name is Parker.
Nice.
Oh, okay, that's cute. I love it.
So his name is Parker Peter?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
If you ask my wife, though, he was not named after Spider-Man.
Right.
The way I justified that was we were watching, we were real into Bones at the time when we had him.
Okay.
And Booth's son's name is Parker. And I was like, oh, we really like that name. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a lot better for him growing up if he gets Spider-Man jokes instead of all the Peter jokes that I grew up with. So, yeah, through that, I was able to name my son after Spider-Man, but not really if you ask my wife.
Right. We'll keep your secret.
Anyway,
just you, me, Leia, and everyone that listens to this on the internet.
So anyway, I went up through X-Men, Spider-Man, Captain America, got into him for a while.
Heck yeah.
And then, I went through, was collecting. I was spending, once I got into high school, was spending basically all my paycheck from my part-time job on comic books. And then it got to where, like, the crossovers started happening. And Age of Apocalypse, I loved it to death, but it was like I had to scramble to try and find all the issues being in a small town where you don't have a comic book shop.
Mm-hmm.
So like picking them up at Walmart sometimes, the grocery store if I could find them. So got most of those. I still it drove me nuts that I missed out on a few of them here and there, and mail ordered a few of them. And then Onslaught happened.
Oh boy.
And the Clone Saga happened.
Oh boy.
And that's when I pretty much said, fuck this.
Yep.
And kind of quit buying comic books. I just couldn't afford to at that point on it. I was making like $150 every 2 weeks working part-time at Pizza Hut or something, couldn't afford to keep buying comics. So I kind of got out of it a little bit. I did for a little bit of time, find some digital ones, which, at the time didn't really think about the fact that it was stealing. So read a few digital ones here and there. That's how I read Civil War. And then, I kind of took a break for quite a while until the MCU happened, and then Marvel Unlimited came about. And that was like the best thing that ever happened.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's how I caught up on so much stuff.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of where we're at now. I don't have a whole lot of time to spend toward comics anymore, but mostly it's whenever I hear about something or I hear you guys talk about something, then I'll pull it up on Marvel Unlimited or DC Universe.
Yeah, that's something after this short break that we've done that I invested in, is that Graphically Novel now has a Marvel Unlimited and a DC Universe like subscriptions. Mm-hmm. So hopefully
because I keep bothering everybody with my Tom King obsession. I'm like, oh, but you got to also read this.
Yep, right. Human Target coming this season.
Yeah.
And actually, as you were saying, Corey, Age of Apocalypse will be coming this season too. I'm just starting to start notes on that one.
I loved Age of Apocalypse so much.
It's great. There's just a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's my favorite series with the cringiest villain name in comic book history in Holocaust.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. For anyone who has not listened to how this show works, this is how the show works. I will be presenting. I am Professor J for this. I will be taking Corey through all of Sins of Sinister. This is 13 issues. 2 of them are preambles, and then we have the 11 that are the actual story. At any time, Corey can pull the emergency brake on the entire show, bring us to a screeching halt, and ask any question, make any comment, really do whatever he wants to do to make this more entertaining or to get clarification on things. At that time, it is the assisting professor, Professor L's job to answer his question. Now, if she cannot or does not know the answer, she can always reach out to me for assistance. And since Miss Jennifer Howland is not here today to just make up an answer, we all put up our hands, wave our fingers, and go, comic books. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So, Sins of Sinister. We're going to have to do a little bit of catching up. Some people, because there's some stuff you need to know. So, previously on X-Men, we had Hoxpox, House of X, Powers of X. Go back if you're not at least somewhat familiar and listen to our Hoxpox episode, because this is a lot of Hoxpox. But to catch you up a little bit, just to remind you, there is what is called the Five, which is Hope Summers, Tempest, Proteus, Elixir, and Egg. Between the 5 of them, they're able to resurrect mutants thanks to their gifts working together, and Mr. Sinister's genetic material database, and Xavier's psychic backups, which they keep on the sentient mutant island of Krakoa, which is an established sovereign nation for mutants. This is all thanks to a deal with humanity, where they exchanged their sovereign status in exchange for 3 drugs. One that extends human life by 5 years, one that's an adaptive universal antibiotic, and one that cures all diseases of the mind. In addition, Krakoa's embassies are plants in different countries that contain portals to Krakoa that any mutant can use. Any mutant except for Kate Pryde, and no one knows why, still hasn't been explained. Also, Judgment Day happened, which is a future episode and involves the entire Marvel universe getting judged by whatever the hell the Eternals protect us from, so hard pass. Magneto died in it, I guess. The biggest part of this that you need to understand from House of X, Powers of X is Moira McTaggart. Moira McTaggart, long known before Hoxpox as a human that was just helping mutants, turned out to be a mutant, and her power is when she dies, she resets the timeline and starts it anew with all the memories that she had of her previous life. So she's on her 10th iteration. It is believed that this is her last life, but that hasn't really been tested. After House of X, Powers of X happened, one of the things that she had demanded is that Destiny, Mystique's wife, would not be resurrected from the dead, as she really doesn't like precogs. She apparently there's something in her future that she didn't want Destiny around to point out. Mystique obviously went against this, got Destiny resurrected, and also got Destiny put on what's called the Quiet Council, which is the people who make the decisions within Krakoa. This pissed Moira off. She ended up turning on all of mutant kind. They shot her with a gun that Forge had made, which shut off her X gene. And then just before she died, she uploaded her consciousness into a robot body. Get it?
Yeah, that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
Perfectly normal.
Right. So the preamble for this picks up right after Judgment Day, after all that crazy shit happened, and Kate Pryde is sitting in a Krakoan council meeting. The Krakoan council at this point is Kate Pryde, Xavier, Hope, Destiny, Exodus, Mystique, Emma Frost, Sebastian Shaw, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Storm, who is the leader of a terraformed Mars that they call Araco, which is its own planet that has its own mutants and is a whole other thing.
What?
Yep, that was done during the second Hellfire Gala. That was their big thing, is they terraformed a planet using Iceman to supply it with water, and then
Wait, what?
Storm to terraform.
Now, hold on. Now, because my knowledge of Iceman may not be extensive, but my understanding was that he takes moisture that's already there and freezes it, but now he can create water.
So, fun fact, there actually is water on Mars.
Okay.
Also, one of Bobby's powers that they have recently found out, and that will actually come into being, is that he can expand the mass of water. So while there is water on Mars, there was not enough to sustain life. He went through and made there be enough to sustain life.
Right on. Okay.
Just normal X-Men stuff.
It makes comic book sense. So
yes.
Right. There is one seat empty at this council. As they discuss Judgment Day things, and then the possibility, this has been an ongoing conversation, whether or not they should share the gift of their resurrection protocols with humans. Basically, they're saying, well, just like children that die in accidents or taken before their time, and basically they're selling it as it'd be goodwill to humanity, to show that we're on their side. Sinister walks in. He is the last council member. And Destiny very calmly looks at Exodus and says, hey, Sinister's about to kill Hope. Sinister yells, you spoil sport, as he goes to pull a gun, and Exodus explodes him from the inside out. The council gathers around Sinister's body, and Kate asks what's going on. There is just a little panel that shows us Moira version 1.1 death. So earlier that day, Sinister and Destiny are talking, and it's revealed that Sinister did not get judged in this big Judgment Day thing. For some reason, everyone on Earth was judged by this celestial thing, but Sinister was not.
Wait.
While they're talking about sorry, go ahead.
So, no, of all the people that don't get judged, Sinister did not get judged.
Right. At that point in their talk, Destiny brings up someone named Dr. Stasis and wonders if he was judged, and this pisses off Sinister. Just the mention of this guy's name pisses off Sinister. He goes down to his lair, where he has many cloned animals with X-Men powers hanging out. My favorite being Psycat, which is a cat with Cyclops' visor. He also has created clones of Moira. He has basically in the timeline created save points at certain times. So if he kills the Moira clone, he goes back to when she was assembled. Get
Wait,
it? Because this will be important.
So
This
hold
is-
on.
this is-
So Moira's power is that she dies and goes back, but he cloned her, but now it makes him go back.
Yes, like he basically is able to use her abilities in order to create like essentially like a save file in a video game for himself.
Right, but it's not really for himself. It
Right.
is, he has to load, he has this computer program that he has set up where he can load stuff from the future and it'll send it back to basically upload when the new Moira clone is created, which is done as a whole automatic process. So he does have to be able to load information in order to get it in the past.
Okay.
If this doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry. It will not get better.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, sadly, I have enough X-Men experience that, it's fine.
You can hand wave it.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Run it through the deflector dish. So, due to Moira's powers being more complicated than things like I-beams or wings, he can only get about 10 clones out of Moira in his attempt to murder the entire council. If he goes past this iteration of 10 clones of Moira, he's going to have to kill one of the earlier ones, which will bring him back before Judgment Day, which he doesn't want to do, and neither do any of us as readers.
No. So does it say why he's trying to kill the council?
Well, we'll find out as we go through.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. That brings us up to him getting exploded. So this next page, okay, so this is done kind of like House of X, Powers of X is done. It's Kieran Gillen, who's a wonderful writer, has done amazing things, kind of channeling the style of Hickman, who did House of X, Powers of X. So there are these pages in the middle that kind of show you different things. And this is a chart outlining all the council members and their murder priority from Sinister. Hope is at the top at 10 out of 10. Xavier, Destiny, Storm, and Emma are all 9 out of 10. Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Exodus are 8 out of 10, and the rest are lower numbers.
So wait, that's not how a priority list works. Like they all have to have separate numbers.
Right. Well,
if there's
No.
3 9 out of 10s, then which one do you choose first?
Well, that's kind of the problem.
right. As we will find out, this will become a problem. All right. So all of these next attempts are done very quickly. And so I'm just going to kind of explain them as best I can. Sinister, for a lot of these, is using mutant powers put into sentient masses of tissue that aren't really human per se, but they still have enough to them to activate the mutant gene. So the first one he has is what's called a boom boom bomb, which he sets off in the middle of the council meeting. The attempt is thwarted by Destiny, who gets everyone to duck at the last second. Sinister dies again from Exodus exploding his head. That is Moira version 1.2. Moira version 1.3 is Mystique jumping Sinister immediately as soon as he walks in the room and holding him down. Hope goes to enter Sinister's head to find out what he's up to, and Sinister has a failsafe that kicks in and it explodes his head. Moira version 1.4. Sinister figures out Destiny is outing him because he's being too direct. She needs plausible deniability. This is what they talked about earlier, and she had said, basically, we should be working together. So he comes in with battle armor and a high-tech weapon and is able to kill Exodus before Hope takes Storm's powers and fries him with them. Moira version 1.5. More battle armor and an even bigger weapon. He kills Exodus and Hope before Storm fries him.
Okay, so quick question. I'm not familiar with Hope Summer. She can take other people's powers.
Oh boy. Even I don't quite know how to explain what Hope Summers can do.
So base, yes, she borrows other people's powers, but it's not like Rogue where they don't have them anymore. She basically just duplicates them.
Right. It's like a copy system rather than being able to steal them.
Right. So the original person still also keeps their power. Yeah, there's a lot to Hope, and she keeps getting new powers. This is the main one that's going to matter. But she does, yeah. Also can hold the Phoenix Force, also can, like, do anything. They add powers to her and take them away when it's convenient, but her main power is copying other people's powers.
Okay. So she's like Sync.
Kind of. Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, she's a Summer, so,
right. Yeah. Moira version 1.6, battle armor and the, quote, biggest gun I've ever seen in my life, end quote. Before the gun fizzles out when he tries to use it, Sinister swears about celestial tech before pulling out a smaller gun and shooting himself in the head with it. Moira version 1.7, sniper rifle. Destiny warns people, but he manages to shoot Hope and Emma. He kills himself after shouting, "Oh, for flip's sake."
Okay, so it's starting to seem like Destiny should have been the 10 out of 10.
You'd think.
You would think.
I also had that same thought too, because I was like, well, why don't you just never mind.
Moira version 1.8, Sinister walks in and says he can clear his name if people would just psychically scan him. Xavier goes to do that and his head explodes. Emma, in diamond form, jumps on Sinister and puts her fingers into his eyes, killing him. Moira version 1.9, a large tentacled abomination breaks down the wall and kills half the council. Mystique, Destiny, Kate, and Exodus escape. The creature screams with frustration and implodes. Finally, version 1.10. The hit list has now changed. There's a bunch of scribble marks all over it, and now there are only 4 targets in this order. Hope.
Back to the drawing board.
Yes. Okay. Hope, Xavier, Emma, and Exodus. And we do see that if Hope had died in version 1.9, the plan would have moved forward. He needs at least Hope to die plus 3 others. He also, randomly, has Dark Beast's head in a jar in his lab that he talks to.
What?
And Beast...
Does
Dark
it
Beast,
talk back?
Yep. Yep. And Dark Beast is like, let me out. And he's like, nah, you wouldn't like it. You're not even the darkest beast anymore. So yeah, if he doesn't succeed on version 1.10, he'll have to go further back and do Judgment Day again. He walks into the council on a different day. Shaw is giving out cocktails and Storm is gone because of an issue on Araco. Sinister basically says Scott has accused him of a psychic imprint and he asks the telepaths to clear him. Emma, Hope, Exodus, and Xavier all enter Sinister's mind to find Sinister has cloned Xavier's brain tissue into a psychic bomb. Not to kill them, but the command is to send out a telekinetic pulse at torso height. While everyone else dives for cover, those 4 are stuck in basically a psychic loop and send out the pulse. Since Hope was...
I'm still a little stuck on the fact that 3 of the most powerful telepaths in existence decided they all had to team up to go into his mind instead of just one of them.
Right.
I don't disagree with you. Since Hope was sharing Exodus's power, she and him are indestructible. Xavier and Emma are not and die. Hope and Exodus are still stuck in a psychic loop. So Sinister puts a mixture of Gambit and Black Bishop in Exodus's mouth, which charges mass that is quickly expanding, and it explodes in his body, which does kill him.
The way you phrase that, I'm sorry, but he put a mixture of those 2 people into someone's mouth. It just...
Yep.
Okay.
It just in a little flesh pill, so that Yep. This is not the grossest thing because he also makes Hope vulnerable, and he shoots her with Unis the Untouchable bullets, which are flesh bullets that once they pierce the skin start expanding force fields. Hope dies. Sinister takes this moment to gloat and say they won't come for him like they did for Moira. The remainder of the council gather and talk about resurrection contingencies since they lost Hope, and Kate rallies everyone to go hunt down Sinister. Immortal X-Men number 10.
Okay, so I just want to take a moment real quick and appreciate how easy it is to kill Sinister all of a sudden. Because after like so many storylines and so many different things like throughout the years, and they just like kill him left and right in this issue. So
Yes. Well, half of it is him killing himself, but yes.
Well, right.
So Sinister gets back to his lab because he teleports out of there. And the first thing he does is create Moira version 2, making sure there's a new save point with 4 council members dead.
That's a smart save point.
We cut to Xavier voicing over scenes of the cleaning up of the bodies in the council chambers, including his. And he talks about how he named it Xavier's Dream and how it's not Xavier's sensible policy or Xavier's 5-year plan. That it's a dream and is therefore intangible. But the goal was they were sworn to protect a world that hates and fears them, but protect it from who? Notes from Dr. Henry McCoy reveal that the resurrection process, there are contingencies in replacements for everyone in the process that can either clone the power or do it differently, except for Hope. They don't fully understand her abilities, because none of us do.
I'm not alone.
Yeah, but she somehow presents the X factor in the resurrection process. In finding a replacement for Hope, Mimic says he can't do it, and Sync steps in. Hey. They do the ritual, and Hope, Xavier, Exodus, and Emma are all resurrected. Xavier's voiceover talks about the phrase, "To me, my X-Men," and how that implies that they are his. And as a large force of X-Men go to Sinister's underground base in Alaska to capture him, hopefully alive, the voiceover continues. Xavier picked who to call, what team he started with, that the first 5 were very specific. And how from that point he carefully expanded the ranks to fulfill the dream, and how that usually means fighting other mutants. Sinister shouts as he escapes in a spaceship thing that Krakoa was made by villains. Him, Moira, Magneto, and Apocalypse. And that once Krakoa is done with them, they spit the villains out. And he says, "Every day you cheat death, say a prayer to Mr. Sinister."
But Xavier's give a shout out to Krakoa itself, who was a villain, right?
Also true. Xavier's voiceover mentions Magneto killing his entire town when he came into his powers, and Jean as Dark Phoenix eating a planet. And while being a mutant is like being in other persecuted groups, there's a key difference. Mutants, by definition, are dangerous. Hope and Exodus bring down the ship. Xavier says he knew about the possibility for disaster in mutant kind because he has a mirror. He sees his own power. Sinister is captured and brought back to Krakoa as the voiceover continues. Xavier talks about if his powers and Eric's were reversed, there wouldn't be any humans left. With Cerebro, he could spend maybe a decade putting a psychic trigger in every human, and then one day they just wake up and kill themselves.
Oh my God.
He admits to manipulating the council and says he considers taking over their minds. He then says there will never be a nuclear war, and it's a secret only he has. He's put psychic blocks in place for all the people who would order the launch of the weapons or fire the weapons. And he says, and it took a single thought to do it. So Sinister is put in the pit, basically a prison that's in the middle of Krakoa, like storing it in Krakoa's gallbladder. Xavier swears Krakoa will have nothing more to do with monsters. Destiny tells Mystique that they have to leave immediately. Xavier finishes his voiceover saying he's not a perfect person, but his powers in anyone else's hands would be disastrous. For the last few panels, we show Xavier in his room wearing the helmet he wears all around Krakoa, which is like this big dumb looking thing. But as he takes it off and looks in the mirror, it's revealed that in the middle of his forehead is a red Sinister diamond.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So is this a result of him like going into Sinister's head or something different?
Oh, just
or
hold
is this
on to
to
your
be
butt.
determined?
Now we actually start Sins of Sinister. We start with just a really quick panel that says it's 10 years in the future, and there's mutants that are hatching from eggs, which are part of the resurrection process. But Sinister is standing there saying, "To me, my me's."
God bless.
This is where I have a note, Leia, where I just want to point out that we asked for this. We literally asked for an all Sinister storyline.
We did, but I was expecting it to be like way more flamboyantly gay.
Not gay enough.
Yes.
So I feel like I should say at some point that I listened to the House of X, Powers of X, and you guys were like in love with Sinister.
Yes.
And I've always hated him. And not because of the, any of that, but just he's so creepy.
He is creepy, and I did love the way he was written in House of X, Powers of X, to be completely fair. That was what I wanted. I wanted House of X, Powers of X, Sinister just doing weird, flamboyant things.
I would also settle for...
Instead, we get old school, just creepy as hell Sinister.
Yeah, I would have also settled for Battle World Sinister. Battle World Sinister was a good one.
Yeah, true.
Where you just had bunches of clones of himself, like hanging out, and like he would kill them for things like not suggesting that he wear a flamboyant cape that day.
Right. That was what I wanted.
Right. We have Sinister at home, Leia. All right. So moving forward, I will say what year they're in, and that is much the same as House of X, Powers of X. How many years past this event? Past Sinister killing the members of the council. So we pick up in Xavier's room, where he is there with his little Sinister diamond, where he's joined by Emma, who reveals she too is a Sinister clone. Then they are joined by Sinister Exodus and Sinister Hope, who say they need to keep camouflaged until the plan is executed. The following day at a council meeting, Destiny and Mystique are still gone. Xavier says that's for the best, as there is no room for reform villains in the council anymore. I will point out that Sebastian Shaw is still fucking there, though, so
yeah,
that makes no sense.
Right?
The Sinister Four put on a performance for the other council members, basically using their arguments that they've had before, kind of amplified, to push forward the agenda of using resurrection for humans. So they got put on this performance of an argument where points are made, but at the end of the day, they are able to convince the rest of the council we should push forward. And they push forward with the plan to enlist Forge and the Cuckoo's help.
And the who?
The Cuckoos are
also known as the Stepford Cuckoos.
Yeah, that's another concept that is a whole nother podcast.
They're a group of I believe at this point there are only 3. There were originally 5 identical twins that were cloned from Emma Frost. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So in year 1, so 1 year past this, Ben Ulrich meets with J. Jonah Jameson. Ben pulls out like a little injector gun thing and basically tells him, I have a story, but I can't talk to you unless I know that you're still you, and injects JJJ with it. And Jameson apparently passes. So Ulrich explained that there's been a limited X gene offered to the population that guarantees immortality. So basically, they have this dormant X gene that they're putting in humans to mark them so that they can be resurrected. It also marks them supposedly for Xavier's like psychic backup scans as well. But Ben has found out that there's also a Trojan horse in it. It's a personality that can take people over at any time. And even if it doesn't come to the surface, it can push their darker impulses forward. And as he's explaining, Jameson is revealed to be Sinister Jameson and says Ulrich's test won't work since they invented the test and sent them out as a lure to expose people from getting too close. So the these other Sinister clones show up and take Ben away. Not being subtle at all, because all of the clones are wearing white shirts with red diamonds on them.
He's all about the branding, which, I mean...
Colt, right?
So, meanwhile, on Krakoa, Sinister Forge has created an orbital gun that will lobotomize Krakoa. Hope excitedly presses the button, and this giant beam comes down and hits Krakoa. Cypher, who is the person who talks to Krakoa, because he's the person that can speak any language, discovers that Krakoa is brain dead just in time to get killed by Sinister Wolverine. Emma sends a psychic message to the planet telling all of Earth that they've been attacked by Orcus, who is this anti-mutant group that's been popular, I guess, and that all the psychic imprints on Krakoa are lost. So she says, we have mystical ways of getting our mutant ones back, but the human ones are gone. So we're going to go fight Orcus, and anyone who's lost anyone, like, you know, who were in the queue for resurrection, you're not getting your loved ones back. So if you'd like to join us in fighting Orcus, basically stoking humanity, the Avengers and the X-Men defeat Orcus, which Orcus is found to be run by Nimrod and the robot Moira. Robot Moira escapes, Nimrod explodes. After the fight, Cyclops invites Captain America to take the immortality gene and become an honorary X-Man, to which Steve accepts.
Steve, come on, man.
Come on, Steve. He's too trusting.
Seriously. I was just like, come on, Steve.
Sinister Forge and the OG4 release Sinister from the pit. He goes to his lab under Muir Island, and he reveals he hid his DNA in the genetic library of all mutant samples, but for some reason, Hope's part in the process was fixing the samples as they were being resurrected. So originally, from the very get-go, Sinister clones were going to start popping up and people being resurrected, but Hope was the one that was stopping that. So when he can finally get his genes in her, the rest went as planned, and he commences what he calls his 5-year plan of fucking around.
And he will find out at the end.
Yes.
So he really wanted to get his genes in her, is what I'm...
That's right. Fucking redheads, am I right? There's a bunch of questionable shit that happens on the next few panels, but I'll take us through it the best I can. The first one being Juggernaut is shot into space to kill Thanos, who has become like Galactus-sized. Juggernaut goes through Thanos' skull, killing him, and then just keeps going through space, and people say no attempt was ever made to get him back.
Well, if Thanos was that easy to kill, that we could have just sent Juggernaut to do it. Like, that would have ended all the Infinity different storylines like way sooner.
You'd think.
So Sinister Emma kills Namor, replaces Namor. Sinister Namor kills Doom, replaces Doom. Sinister Doom then prompts fake rumors of another Judgment Day attack. The mutants defeat the Eternals and put them in a stasis engine in deep space, which isn't the worst thing that's happened in this storyline, I'll admit. Sinister Ben Grimm kills the Fantastic Four. The Avengers are all corrupted to become more violent. Captain America murders the sitting president and takes control of the United States.
Steve.
The X-Men step in, defeat the Avengers, and are now lauded as Earth's mightiest heroes. Year 5. Storm confronts the Council, knowing that something is wrong. Sinister reveals himself and shows the rest of the Counselor Sinisters. Storm had deleted herself from the Resurrection Protocols in a much earlier thing because she didn't believe in the Resurrection Protocols, so she couldn't be corrupted. But before she went to confront the council, she came up with a plan on Araco with someone named Laktuka, who I'm not familiar with.
I have no idea who that is either. I was hoping that you would, but yeah, just some guy.
Who programs a defense phrase into Storm. She uses it and basically has a giant lightning bolt hit the council. And as she's like, escaping, Destiny and Mystique appear and say that they have to work together with her, and then they leave. Sinister is then voted onto the council and no longer has to hide. Sebastian Shaw is made an emissary to the various hells. This allows him to make a deal to collect Muspelheim, which Magic then uses to destroy Asgard's Rainbow Bridge and kick Asgard into space further, so it can't connect with Midgard. This is Thor bullshit, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, this is definitely a part where I was like, okay, all right.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
no, I can almost fill in a little bit of the gaps from the movies, but I have not read enough Thor to I have no idea.
Probably my favorite panel of all of this is just this gigantic red beam going into the Sanctum Sanctorum, vaporizing Wanda, and it all it says over it is "No more Wanda," just in case.
I mean, that's a good safety.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that is the smartest thing anybody's done so far.
Yeah. The first chimeras are created. These are beings which mix two X-Men into one. So we have the original four: Colossus Beast, Psych Vereen, Jeangel, and Icefire.
Really?
These are just names that I've given them because they're better than the ones that they have.
So they're bad.
Yes.
Bad.
They then blow up Araco. They just explode the planet. Yeah. Year 10. Foggy Nelson is outside of a group of people lining up for gene therapy, and he is taken away by Spider Crawler.
Spider Crawler.
Yep.
Spider-Man Nightcrawler?
Yep.
Okay.
The council on Krakoa, well, what's left of Krakoa, votes to no longer hide their diamonds and be out in public. And in opposition of Sinister, they all vote against him to attack other galactic races. That's a preemptive strike. They're basically like, we've taken over Earth, but it's only so long before all these other fucking races come and try to save Earth. So preemptive strike. And Sinister's like, I don't think it's time for that yet. And they were like, okay, well, we'll take a vote. And everybody raises their hand but Sinister. Sinister doesn't like them thinking for themselves. And he goes to reset the timeline and kill the Moira clone when he discovers his lab is gone.
Ruh-roh.
Like the whole thing. Gone.
Issue 2, Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants, number 1. Storm recounts the war on Araco. The Skrulls were blamed for the attack, therefore propagating the fight into space. So she stays on the asteroid field that was once her planet, and she blames Destiny for not warning them sooner. Destiny has come to talk with her, except this new character called John Ironfire, whose mutant ability is that his fire or his blood can become metal.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah.
That sounds useful.
He attacks Destiny and shows that it's actually Mystique. Mystique is there to deliver a message. She asks, how would you like Araco to live again? And Mystique reveals that the Moira clone exists and can move them all to the 10-year prior mark. Storm assembles the Brotherhood, who is Storm, Cable, Cora, whose power is to amplify others, WizKid, who's kind of a Forge-ish kind of kid, Ironfire, who we talked about, and Quick, who's a speed mutant. They go to Muir Island and are attacked by a Ragro Chimera, which is Maggot and Marrow. So it can fire bone shards that are maggots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I
X-Men.
should stop you there, but I got nothing for that.
I also wanted to stop him there, but instead it keeps going.
They get into the lab to find it's protected by a force field made of multiple force field mutant powers. So like Unis the Untouchable mixed with armor, mixed with... they fight more chimeras, and WizKid is able to get past the force fields, and they teleport the lab to their base on the ruins of Araco. WizKid reveals himself to actually be Mystique, who stabs Storm and teleports the lab away. Basically, they stole the lab from Storm, who they had stolen it from Sinister. Meanwhile, on Destiny's base, which is called the World Farm, Destiny gloats about having the Moira clone and talks to someone unrevealed about how she's had a great 10 years with her wife, so she has no interest in resetting the world. And the person she's talking with is an old man with a spade on his forehead.
With a spade?
Like the card symbol, a spade.
Yeah.
So rather
Not
than
like
a diamond, a spade.
Right. Issue number 3, Nightcrawlers number 1. In the Sanctum Sanctorum, Banshee, who is bonded with the spirit of variance. It's important to note that all the spirits of vengeance have abandoned the earth. So he's in here searching for occult items. He's been sent by someone who's called Mother to basically just gather items of power. He's besieged by what's called the Legion of the Night, who is a bunch of chimera who I have named Spider Crawler, Domino Crawler, Pyro Crawler, X-23 Crawler, Toad Crawler, and Colossa Crawler.
Wow. So Nightcrawler gets around.
Oh,
Yes. Banshee uses what's called the Scream of Change, which has never worked on Sinisters before, but he figures, if I'm going to die, what the hell? He does free the mind of the X-23 Crawler, who attacks the others, and asks Banshee to free as many as he can. So he's able to free Domino Crawler, Colossa Crawler, and Spider Crawler, and they kill the rest. As they're leaving, X-23 Crawler is like, "What is my purpose?" Got no answer. My favorite phrase, you ready for it, Leia?
Yes.
Meanwhile, on the moon.
Fucking always with the moon. Always with the damn moon.
Banshee meets with a woman named Mother Righteous, who takes him to meet Orbis Stellaris, who is the old man with the spade on his forehead, and Dr. Stasis, who looks like Sinister but has a club on his forehead. Apparently, Mother fixed some sort of spell 10 years prior that had locked certain mutant genes from Sinister's manipulations. Most obviously, the one that she had removed was Nightcrawlers, which is why Sinister is able to make all these Nightcrawler chimera now. The crawlers that have been freed by Banshee are on Mother's side. Mother takes off her mask to reveal a heart in the middle of her forehead and has Banshee attack Stasis. The crawlers also help, and they go to kill Stasis. Orbis had hired Mother to kill Stasis and now pays in information. Orbis revealed he has the Moira clone, and he will wait for Sinister to do the hard work, then take it all from him when the moment is right. Banshee takes the crawlers and goes around to different Sinister labs to see if the Scream can wake any other crawlers. So far, it does not. When the team presents the items they found to Mother, which is just random, like, crap from the Marvel Universe, she tells them about Sinister's lab and how it must be cleansed. She needs to collect instruments of the gods. So, like, she needs the parts of, like, the Siege Perilous and Mjolnir and, like, all these different things to make something. Spider Crawler says, let me go to the lab and do recon. I won't be able to last much longer because Sinister, the scream is starting to wear off and Sinister is starting to creep back into him. And Mother's like, absolutely, go and do recon. He teleports to the lab, but hits a barrier and dies. Mother is like, oh, well, now we mourn him, and basically has everyone chant his name, kind of like his name is Robert Paulson.
Yes.
In death, he has a name. And basically there's like her thoughts are that, if this is to be a religion, rituals must be set up and performed.
Yeah. So quick question on Mother. Is that like a new character, or is that somebody that we've known before? Is it a different role, or do we know that yet?
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
as
was
far
waiting for
as
a reveal
I-
when you said she pulled off the mask, and I was thinking it was going to be, oh, that's so-and-so. And
Nope, she has a heart on her forehead, though.
Yes.
okay. So all we know is she has a heart on her forehead. So
Right.
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. If these people have shown up earlier in comics, I did not read them, so they must have been pretty buried. So issue number 4, which is Immoral X-Men number 1 instead of Immortal X-Men. We are in year 10. Fury and a team break into some facility, some skyscraper, to take out the Cerebro satellites. One of the agents is like, okay, do we leave out the door or out the window? And Fury's like, we leave out the window. And they jump out of the window and fall and die.
You have chosen poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sinister Xavier takes off his helmet and reports to Emma that it's done. And he like cries. And Emma's like, oh, you're such a softie. And Sinister Xavier says, yeah. Sinister Xavier says he realizes it's a necessary evil for the Dream to continue to do these things, but he wishes he wasn't forced to do it. He further wishes that Magneto was still alive so that he could see that Charles is right.
Boo.
Like the first half of that is like, you had me in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, he just blew it up.
Council meetings are now conducted psychically. The topic of Off-World comes up again, and Sinister is still the only holdout. He goes to his lab and there's a brand new clone of him naked sitting in his lab. And the clone is like, who am I? What's going on? And he's like, you're a duck. So most scientists suggest speaking out loud and like a sounding board of like a duck to just get everything out loud so maybe you can see flaws in your plan or whatever else. He's like, but I'm Sinister and I won't talk to a duck, even a duck with Cyclops beams. So I will only talk to my equal, and that is you. And they're like, okay, so they start basically going back and forth of all the issues that have come up in the plan.
So how long is this section?
It's a couple pages.
Yeah.
So the things that are revealed is that basically every time he comes to, well, I could fix that, the solution was in his lab that was stolen. The clone Sinister actually makes fun of him and says something about eggs and baskets. But Sinister also says that all the top level clones have fail safes, but to activate the fail safe, he'd need his lab. And he thanks the clone for listening to him and then melts him. He breaks into Emma's chambers and tries to inject her manually with the failsafe in her sleep, but she sleeps in diamond form, so it doesn't work. He escapes, and Emma calls the council and basically says it's time to hunt Sinister. Emma tracks Sinister to a lab, and they fight. Emma wins and is going to kill Sinister when he shows her his new chimera. When he tells her his new chimera can hold 5 mutant powers at once. He just needs to get to the point where he can create it. Emma makes him beg and then brings him to the council. They accept his deal but say he'll be on a shorter leash. So they let Sinister live for reasons.
Because I can create this like even crazier abomination.
Yes.
Let me
In
live.
fact.
They're like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like go fuck with genetics, do your thing.
Issue number 5, Nightcrawlers number 2. We are now in year 100.
So yeah.
Yeah. Sinister Magic and the Legion of Night find and destroy Asgard. Kicking it into space wasn't enough. They go and destroy it. The Crawlers, meanwhile, are kind of sneaking in when they're destroying different planets to steal whatever the god instruments are that they need for this plan. Right. So, like, Magic is destroying Asgard. They sneak in, find Thor, and take Mjolnir. So basically, at this point, there are 53 freed Crawlers, and the first child, Chimera, was born to X-23 Crawler, but exploded almost immediately after being born.
What?
Well, okay, so did it explode or did it disappear?
It looks like right, there's no, like, matter. It looks like maybe it just, like, flashed and was gone.
Yeah, because, like, the impression that I got was that it didn't, like, just explode, is that it, like, blinked to a different existence, basically.
Right.
Okay. I was wondering if it wasn't like that's their power or something, and they just like fuck this, I'm out of here.
The implication, and you can tell me if I'm way off base, but when I was reading this, what it seemed to imply to me was that because it talks about how, like, you know, the baby was born or whatever, and then, like, shortly after its birth, like moments after its birth, it had, you know, like a birth reflex, like blinking, you know, or breathing or whatever, and it just blinked away
somewhere,
who knows where, you know, in the way that, you know, it can't be traced, basically. So it may be out there somewhere, but nobody knows where or what to do about it. And I think that's because of the Nightcrawler gene. Yeah,
that might be it. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Did it bamf when it happened?
It did not, but there was like a poof sort of thing, you know. So.
It was like a baby bamf. So
baby's first bamf.
Right.
I like it.
Well, and this is all uncharted territory, since the Sinister process also made all of them infertile.
Right.
So the baby should not have been born in the first place.
Right.
The father of the baby, Sightcrawler, is distraught enough to go through a ritual, which is following the path of Spidercrawler and just throwing himself at the barrier.
So hold on now. Psycrawler is Cyclops and Nightcrawler?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it had a baby with basically Laura Kinney and Nightcrawler?
Yes.
Yes.
Gross.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Sinister, we also find out that Sinister has stopped making Crawler clones because it is Nightcrawler's DNA that causes the flaw that allows them to be freed, that allows the Scream to work on some of them, and so that they can basically shrug off his influence. Sinister's figured this out, and so has taken Crawler clones out of production. Mother meets with Legion, who not only refuses to help, but leaves for a different universal plane entirely, abandoning the universe.
He's also read too many X-Men stories.
Yes. Oh, that makes sense. Banshee asks Mother for permission to go retrieve Dr. Nemesis. Do you know who Dr. Nemesis is?
I do not know who Dr. Nemesis is.
So he is, God, how to explain Dr. Nemesis? His brain is made of like a fungus type material, and the more fungus that grows, the smarter he gets.
Okay.
He's a weird fucking mutant.
Yeah, I actually had never heard of him prior to this, and I did not know that. So that's certainly the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure he was a Warren Ellis creation.
It seems reasonable to assume that. So.
Yes.
No more explanation needed.
Right. Mother gives permission to Banshee, and so he takes some of the Crawlers, and they go to Earth, which has been basically abandoned and gutted. But Dr. Nemesis isn't alone. Dr. Nemesis also has the original Nightcrawler, who once the hex was removed from his DNA, for some reason he's been continuing to mutate into this monster. So he's got these huge horns. He's the size of a small house. He's yeah.
So we're in year 100 now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So he's not being able to be resurrected, but he's still alive.
Yes.
Yes. So
Okay.
also, I just want to point out that if you need to know what this Nightcrawler looks like, if you've ever seen Brock Lesnar's back tattoo, that's it. That's the guy.
Oh my God.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Holy shit.
You guys keep going. I'm going to Google Brock Lesnar's.
Can never not unsee.
You're welcome for that.
So this original Nightcrawler is important because X-23 has basically brought him with and releases him on Mother, because X-23 is you killed my baby. Mother very easily kills the original Nightcrawler. X-23 escapes and is visited by a vision of her child who says it's not dead, but it was stolen by Mother. Issue number 6, Immoral X-Men number 2, year 100. Hope and Exodus lead a space fleet through the universe, sending chimeras that are living bombs onto planets. So basically, they're teleported in using what's the rock star? Of course, I didn't write her name down.
Dazzler?
Oh, Dazzler?
No, the other the other rock star, Lila Cheney.
Oh, okay. I
Whose
don't know.
power is to be able to teleport anywhere she's been.
Yeah.
So these chimera bombs have her DNA in them. Once Hope has seen the planet, she can basically send the experience of being there into the clone bombs so that they can teleport to the planet. Once on the planet, their genes kick in, which are a combination of nuclear fusion from Firestar, increasing mass from Black Bishop, and mass growth from Micromax. So basically, it is a very quick planet killer nuclear bomb.
Okay.
Back at the base, a ship has been constructed to go out into the universe, find habitated planets, and then send info back so they can be destroyed. The ship is manned by a bunch of Mystique clones and is captained by a new chimera, Rasputin the Fourth, who is the first stable chimera with 5 mutant genes. It has Kate Pride, Colossus, Unis the Untouchable, X-23, and Quentin Quire.
Okay, and I know 3 of those names.
Okay, which ones are you missing?
Okay, Quentin Quire.
Yep, Quentin Quire was a Omega level mutant who was one of the Kid X-Men when they had the new X-Men run. He is super psychic.
Okay.
And I'm guessing the other one was Unis the Untouchable?
Yes.
Because he's so yeah. Basically his power is a force field.
Okay.
And in addition, just because it looks cool, Sinister also gives Rasputin a soul sword.
Wait, you can just give those out now.
I apparently.
He's figured out how. So as soon as Sinister and Rasputin leave the room, Hope points out to the council, "Oh, cool! So that chimera was made. We have no further use for him." Sinister knows this and is in the stages of planning as he goes into his room and is greeted by Mother, who gives him a book with all of the answers he ever wants in it. But in order to get the key for the book, he just has to thank her, which he does. The book reveals to him that he is one of 4 clones of Nathaniel Essex and that none of them are the original. So the council is going to kill Sinister after they kill a Chitauri pirate world. In the middle of that fight, Exodus abandons Hope saying the council has no more use for her. She is killed by Chitauri. Sinister injects Rasputin IV with something that erases all the genetic controls and chains, making her truly free. Sinister at this point actually, like, knowing that he's not the true Nathaniel Essex and looking back to what the Sinister Council has done for the last 100 years, basically has shown him how much he's destroyed. He does tell Rasputin IV about the Moira clone, but phrases it more that there is something that can, fix the universe. And they go steal the Marauder ship and go to find the clone. Issue 7, Storm and the Brotherhood #2, Year 100. A ship approaches the Araco base and gives the current docking code and then gives next week's docking code. So it's proven that it's Destiny. She's there to see Storm. Several things are revealed. That Hope died. That Cable is now more a machine than he is a man now. And that Mystique has died. She led a team of Nova, Hercules, and someone I didn't recognize that looked kind of like strong guy with a moth on his face.
Mothra.
Yeah,
Mothra
I have
man.
no idea who that guy was.
Me either.
But they failed and they all died. So now Destiny has nothing left to lose and would like to go kill the Moira clone now, please. The Brotherhood launched an attack on Stasis's base in space. 3 fighters against 300. Storm has Korra boost Destiny's power to be more accurate and with more detail, and has Cable transmit that vision to everyone so everyone sees Destiny's vision. Destiny sees the squadron get inside the base, lock on missiles to the artificial sun, and then blackness. So she says, okay, well, we win then, because I can't see past that. The Moira clone must be destroyed and everything goes to where it's supposed to. So things go exactly that way, except at the blackness part, Korra has snuck up behind Destiny and killed her with a sword through the head. So that was Storm's plan.
Did she say you didn't see that coming, did you?
Oh, if only.
Storm has her team disarm the missiles, and with Korra boosting her powers, okay, Storm's powers are nature. Technically, wormholes are nature, I guess.
Oh, no.
She creates a stable wormhole and steals the world farm and gets her people back home.
X-Men.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like she explains it as like a storm to shake realities, which I feel is an extremely weak plausibility, but okay, comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Storm has said that before this, she has no interest in resetting the timeline. She sees killing the Moira clone as collapsing the timeline and killing trillions of beings, so she won't do that. She wants to disarm Moira. The Brotherhood check in after their victory and find that creating the world wormhole has killed Storm. Number 8, The Immoral X-Men. Number 3, we are now in year 1000.
Okay, so on that note, real quick, it seems like we're just progressing forward, whereas with House of X, Powers of X, it kind of jump back and forth. Is that how this runs, where we just keep going forward? Or does it jump back and forth more?
It pretty much progresses. Like, I think of it as like similar to how the House of X, Powers of X progression goes, where it's like year 10, year 1000, it's very similar in structure to that.
Yeah, except you're right, Corey. It doesn't bounce around nearly as much.
No, yeah, it's that one
Okay.
was very difficult to, because it would switch between panels. It'd be like year 10, year 1000, year 5, year 17. And like,
Yeah,
this one
for
does not do
the
it like that. Thank
yeah,
God.
for the most part, this keeps going forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Marauders' mission continues. Exodus. So there has been something called the Exodus Schism over the last 1,000 years, where Exodus cloned himself a bunch of times to create like a religion, except all the religions started fighting each other, calling each other heretics. And they're called prayer worlds. They're different prayer worlds. Rasputin IV has gone to one such world to try and find something. She retrieves it and leaves, but not before the Exodus of that world discovers her and launches basically to go, take her and the marauding ship out. But in launching itself, the Exodus draws the attention of the nearby Exodus world, and they fight one another because they're heretical to each other's world. Apparently, this has happened all across the universe. And what Rasputin has retrieved is some space-time coordinates and a message that says we should be on the same side, telling Sinister that it was left by destiny. That clue leads to another, which is a phonogram with a record that tells Sinister if he is able to kill the Moira and reset the timeline, to come to her and she will join him, since that's the only way to save Mystique. Rasputin overhears this and realizes he's not going to save the timeline, he's going to dissolve it. She attacks him and he blows her out an airlock. Sinister goes to Earth, where he is greeted by a very old Doombot.
Hold on. So Rasputin got blown out the airlock?
Yes. Rasputin the Fourth.
Which the person
Chimera.
with the metal skin and force fields and basically tailor-made to survive in open space.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Continue.
Sinister goes to Earth, where he's greeted by a very old Doombot and Robot Moira. Moira says, I would have chased you to the end of the universe. And he says, well, that's good, because that's where we're going. Emma Frost and Beast are aware of Sinister's plan because long ago, Hank set up the Doombot to transmit to him. So they know that Sinister's going to go find the clone and destroy it. As Sinister, Moira, and Doombot approach the World Farm, their ship is blown out of the atmosphere, and they come face to face with John Ironblood. Sinister tells him he can save everyone, so basically makes a deal with John Ironblood. Meanwhile, Rasputin IV floats in space. A disembodied psychic voice asks her if she wants revenge and if she'll make a deal. Issue 9, Storm in the Brotherhood number 3. Ironblood and Cora talk about Sinister's deal and end up taking it. Emma and what she controls, which is called the Red Diamond Empire, approach the World Farm. At the World Farm, Sinister has put together a new 5 out of these weird members of the Brotherhood that they never even really name, but using their powers, they resurrect Storm. She has information and knowledge, but she doesn't have her memories.
That's a very quick resurrection. Usually we've got to wait for like a new storyline to bring a character back. But
right?
Doing it all right here.
There's a giant space fight. Emma gets in the weird pool and transfers her consciousness to a gigantic master mold that has been made in her image called Mistress Mold.
I'm going to look this panel up.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. It's something.
As the attack grows more intense, Sinister asks to be allowed into the inner chamber where the Moira clone is, and Ironblood says, no, it's a holy, sacred place. He doesn't even know what's in it. Storm and the Brotherhood fight hard, but start to take losses. Cora dies after amplifying Storm, who faces Mistress Mold. Storm, using her abilities, uses raw electrons to tear all of Mistress Mold's covalent bonds apart. Mistress Mold explodes in nuclear fire in the dead of space. Storm is flooded with radiation and dies again. As Ironblood holds her and is mourning, Sinister shoots him in the back of the head. Issue 10. Nightcrawlers number 3. Mother Righteous flies through space in a ship made of Dr. Nemesis's head.
Because of course, why not?
What?
Yes. Nemesis, over the last 1,000 years, has also figured out how to scatter his spores everywhere in the universe, including getting them onto the World Farm. So he has spies everywhere. He informs Mother that Sinister is at the World Farm. Mother has him scan everywhere for something they can use. He finds it and she transmits a message, not knowing what it is yet. the force field is still up around the world farm, so Mother can't get in. That is when Galactus, with the spirits of vengeance possessing him, shows up.
What?
Uh-huh.
You want to talk about a panel? Imagine Galactus with the fire skull head.
Like the fire
Yep.
skull.
Yeah, it's pretty wild looking.
Apparently, all of this destroying planets has taken away Galactus's food. And so it swore vengeance. And the vengeance spirits were like, well, glad you said that.
He's taking vengeance on someone for killing all the people that he wanted to kill.
Yes. Everyone starts to freak out because there is a giant flaming-headed Galactus. Mother's very calm and says, wait for it. Wait for it. And that is when Juggernaut, who was fired 1,000 years before, goes through Galactus's skull and hits the force field, destroying it.
He's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Now hold on. This is just like in a comedy show where somebody like mentions like a funny little joke at the beginning of the show, and then towards the end of the show they like circle back to it. That's what this feels like.
This is a hilarious callback to like one of the earlier issues. And I was like, oh right, the Juggernaut. Like when I was reading through, I was like, oh fuck, that's actually kind of clever.
Do they have any like word bubbles or thought bubbles from Juggernaut? Like, oh shit,
no,
here we go again.
No, not even any consciousness. He's go ahead.
I was gonna say it just at this point, he is, basically he's gone mad. He's been out hurtling through space for 1,000 years. Can't
picking
stop.
up speed,
cannot stop, cannot do anything except just kind of hurtle through space and go insane. So there's really no coherent thoughts coming from the Juggernaut at this time. He's just a projectile.
Yep. And it's also revealed here that in order to find where Thanos was, they got information from a precog. It's basically very, very heavily implied that Destiny was the one that gave them the information and knew the long game that 1,000 years later, if he was fired at Thanos, he would hit Galactus. Banshee and Mother enter the chamber where Moira is because now the force field is down. Mother reveals that the reliquary Perilous, which has been made from all the god weapons, is basically something that will send all of the information she has gleaned through the millennium to herself in the past once the Moira clone is killed. But she says that it's going to need fuel, so pulls the spirit from Banshee and powers the reliquary Perilous with it. And then says, but it also needs a consciousness to guide it. And it must be a consciousness that was not touched by Sinister. And so she's about to put the consciousness of the child she stole into it. And that's when X-23 Crawler appears and they fight. Banshee surprises Mother by stabbing her. And X-23 Crawler stabs her through the chest, finishing the job. X-23 Crawler just takes her baby and teleports away. Banshee is left alone and is shot in the head by Robot Moira, who now has the Reliquary Perilous and the clone. Issue 11, Sins of Sinister Dominion, the last issue.
Thank you.
Sinister and Moira are talking over comms. They're talking over comms when Jugs hits the force field and opens the inner chamber, which lets Moira in. Sinister goes to join her, but is stopped by Ironblood, who is like, yeah, you shot me in the head. My blood becomes metal. So they're fighting. Beast has taken over Emma's empire and disengages all the psychic barriers to reach out to Sinister Xavier. Xavier basically is like, there's so much to explain. Let me catch up. And just rifles through Beast's head to find out what happened. Jumps astrally through Hank to be at the World Farm, gathers the power of all the minds in that area, turns into a big psychic head, and starts moving toward the World Farm. Ironblood forms his blood into a Magneto helmet because he realizes that Xavier's here, and goes to kill Sinister, who insists that Ironblood needs him to defeat Xavier. He gives Ironblood some Iceman genes to up his mass of water in his blood, so that Ironblood becomes like a Galactus-sized version of himself and goes to fight giant head Xavier in space.
Okay. Okay.
Sinister goes to upload his data, but Moira won't let him. And after some debate, she agrees, and he does it. But he also is like, oh, and while I'm here in my lab, he triggers the failsafe to extinguish every person with an X gene and use them for fuel for something. All that energy goes into him, and he starts to ascend and become basically what's called a Dominion, which is like a god-like being. However, as he starts ascending, he hits a barrier and is stopped. And he realizes with horror that another Sinister has already become Dominion and exists outside of space and time. Ironblood shows up and kills him, and Moira kills the clone. This is where we get Death of Moira version 2.1.
So this is like when you have like a fantastic idea and then you start to implement that idea and then bam, somebody beats you to it.
Yes. Absolutely. So back in year 0, Sinister basically asked to download the information, and he's greeted with like an explosion and a message from Moira saying she used the soul of Mother to power the to guide the reliquary perilous back to herself, and but she couldn't finish the job before Sinister interrupted her. So all she's going to tell him knowledge-wise of 1,000 years worth of knowledge is that he failed to become Dominion. She then remotely explodes the lab, killing all of the Moira clones. Sinister's like, wait, we're not anywhere else, and realizes that all of the Moira clones' X genes were neutralized as well by Mother. So he has no more Moira clones. As he's contemplating, a new clone named Moira version 2.1 RPIV begins growing, revealing Rasputin 4, who is there for revenge. In Mother Righteous's mansion, a new wing appears in her library, suggesting that the past, or the other mother, the future mother, was able to send the knowledge backwards for her. On Krakoa, they're right after the murders at the council, and Rasputin IV teleports in with a captive Sinister. They resurrect the 4 that had died, and Sinister's put in the pit, yelling about how he's not the threat and that one of the others had achieved dominion. No one pays attention to him. The council asks Rasputin IV about herself and says she's just a soldier, and introduces Mother Righteous as the real savior. Mother Righteous explains the timeline in a very biased way that makes herself look awesome, and informs the council of the Sinister genes in the 4 that were just resurrected. Xavier decides that for everyone's safety, and until the genes can be found and eliminated, he, Emma, Hope, and Exodus must go into the pit, which they do. And that is the end. Sins Sinister. How you doing?
Wait, that's how it ends?
That
Yes.
is how it ends. And if you have any questions about that, I don't have any good answers.
I don't know if I have any questions that could possibly have good answers. Like,
Yeah, so that was a big event. It was a thing that happened, and it was When we ask for Sinister, this is the Sinister at home that Marvel gave us.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I really enjoyed reading this story. It was very confusing.
Yeah.
I do think that you summed it up very well. For sure, because you seem to understand it way better than me, but you have more X-Men experience.
For my sins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Cory, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How did we do, by the way?
Really good, fantastic. I feel like I mostly understand kind of what the story is about now, and usually I listen to your episodes and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go read that, even if you're like making fun of it, because I'm like, that's some X-Men bullshittery that I want to dive into, but just the way it ended, I don't know.
This is on Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah. I did see that it was on there before this, and I deliberately did not. Like I looked at like the first couple panels of the first Prelude issue where like Kitty Pryde is like everything was normal.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I don't want to get into this. I'll wait and let him explain it.
Yeah, it is something.
It is.
So did we even reset? Maybe I missed that part. Did we even reset the timeline in the end of it?
Yes.
Okay, but and then they go into the pit.
Yeah.
Right.
So
because they have Sinister.
After this is all said and done, like everything, like nothing actually happened now, basically, except they know about it. But then which three went into the pit? Xavier and who else?
The four: Xavier, Emma, Hope, and Exodus.
Oh yeah, so like four of the most powerful mutants on the planet are now like in Krakoa's nutsack, basically.
Yes.
And not going to be part of the world for a while. So are they continuing on from this point? Are they just kind of like out of the picture, or do they come out of the pit?
You know, I
don't know.
I didn't read between here and like the newest. I just picked up an X-Men comic because they did the Hellfire Gala, and it was very confusing to me because a lot happens in it, and it's the beginning of the fall of X. But like Xavier's there and Emma's there, so I don't. I
mean, based on past X-Men experience, like obviously they're going to bring everybody back and like hand wave it and be like, oh yeah, it's okay now that we're not in the pit, so
we're fine, we got better.
Right. Yeah, the only person that I know that has gone into the pit that has stayed there is Sabretooth.
Right. I will say this about like current or more recent X-Men storylines. It seems like for so many years, like a big thing would happen and then like it would reset and then like nothing changed. Everybody's still the same. It's still douchebag Cyclops, the same
right,
asshole Wolverine. Like everybody was still the same. At least with these new ones, it feels like characters are changing with like these storylines where everything's a little bit different sometimes.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And I'm seeing it the more we do, of these stories.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. I mean, like I love Hank McCoy. I think he's a great character. I'm not exactly stoked that he's becoming the Dark Beast, but that's kind of a story that has always been hinted at since Age of Apocalypse, is that his love of science would eventually drive him to be a monster. So
yeah, and I honestly wasn't even aware that he was becoming Dark Beast until I listened to the last episode or whatever on the Powers of X, and I was like, oh, so that's happening. but Dark Beast from this is, separate from this storyline, but Dark Beast from Age of Apocalypse ended up in the 616, right?
Yes, because that's whose head Sinister was talking to.
Right. So then, like, he was there. Did he have some kind of influence on Beast turning into Dark Beast, or is that just totally separate?
I remember a storyline shortly after, like, House of X or House of M. They had a brief thing where there were only 198 mutants called 198, and there were these like stories that would happen in the back of X-Men comics that were just like little strips of Beast trying to figure out how to undo what Wanda had done. And he was with Dark Beast, and Dark Beast just basically kept telling him that him becoming a darker version was inevitable. But that's the last I remember, and that was years ago.
Gotcha. So yeah, it wasn't like it seemed like at first in Age of Apocalypse it was like shocking that Beast was a bad guy, but then you're like, no, like I could see that happening there because
Right.
he's curiosity killed the cat type of thing.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us today, Cory. It's been awesome to have you. We'll have to have you back again and break your mind some more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
This is the premiere of season 4. So
Awesome.
the next one that I have slated to record, though, I don't know what it is because you're choosing it, Leia.
Yeah, I have to.
Something not X-Men, I take it.
No, not X-Men. I retired. I retired in season whatever it was that I retired in. Season 1, season 2, somewhere in
Season
there.
2. I think it was season 2. Yeah.
But yes, I have to choose it for him, which will be fun. Because we have very similar tastes, so hopefully I will find something that he will enjoy, but hasn't read. So that's the challenge.
Yeah, so other than that, the ones that we have coming up this season in no particular order are Mouse, Heroes Reborn, Frey, Human Target, Secret Invasion, The Last Ronin, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Immortal She-Hulk, which I'm also going to extend to the new She-Hulk run because the Immortal She-Hulk was only one issue. Age of Apocalypse, Hellboy Conqueror Worm, and Sex Criminals.
Yeah.
So some interesting stuff coming up.
Yeah, it'll be good. It will be very good. I'm excited about the ones that I've read, and the ones that I haven't read I'm excited to dig in on. So it'll be good.
Yeah, I've been starting to get into, because I decided while I'm going to just go through the main Secret Invasion storyline, I have all of the resources to read all of the cross books and everything. So since we're not recording that one until the end of October, I have plenty of time.
Yes.
And Age of Apocalypse is going to be a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah, that's.
I can't wait to listen to that one.
How long is that one? I feel like that one is pretty long.
Let's see what I got here.
There was 4 issues each for like the 5 X-Men titles, so there's 20 issues right there, plus like the Omega and the Alpha.
Yeah, I have like the omnibus thing.
Oh my god, yeah, we're gonna have to do like Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, it's gonna be shortened and probably still a 2-part episode.
Oh, just thinking about it makes me tired.
That's why we record these on Sunday.
Yeah,
it's like glorious X-Men 90s bullshit, and I love it.
Hooray!
It is better than Onslaught, so I mean,
yes.
That's not hard. That's the other 90s series that I think of for X-Men, so that's why I compare the two. But
that's why I kept throwing in more recent titles that I knew for a fact were only like 10 to 12 issues. I was like, all right, let's do, Human Target, only 12 issues. Stuff like that, or and then Mouse, of course, not a superhero story at all.
No.
And that one, that's going to be, I don't want to say fun because it sounds wrong, but it'll be
right.
Good.
No, good. I get it. You still have to choose one more, by the way.
Yeah. I gotta take a look at the list. I gotta take a look at my bookshelf.
I feel like actually you should probably do Mouse.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought we were doing. I assumed I was gonna do.
Oh, there we go. There's your 6 then.
Yeah, I just naturally assumed that as the do I would be doing Mouse.
That was the 6th that we didn't. So let's see. Has this loaded yet? Yep, it is 942 pages. Is the Age of Apocalypse omnibus.
Oh my god, I'm tired. I gotta start reading now.
It's like a full epic fantasy novel and graphic novel.
Yeah,
year 1000.
Written shorter books.
We're now in year 1000 of reading Age of Apocalypse.
It certainly is an age.
What I did love about Age of Apocalypse is X-Men and Jean Grey's like relationship, where you knew it would never work, and then it worked, but it still didn't work.
Right. Yeah.
The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Jean Grey.
It kind of put to bed because around that time, everybody was like, it was like the old like comic book nerd of the time, like the Edward versus Jacob type thing. Where everybody's like, no, Wolverine needs to get with Jean Grey. No, Cyclops has been with her forever. Like, stuff like that. And so for all of us people who love Wolverine, like you see it happen and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that didn't work. They should just, not worry about that anymore.
Well, post Powers of X, they were just like, fuck it, we're a thruple.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, all right. Well, please tune in next time when we'll be doing something
else. We'll be doing a different comic book of some type.
But until then, take it away, Vandello.
Little wreck conversation, some deep reactions, please. All this comics narration ain't elating me. A little more talk, a lot less read. A little fight, baby, is what I need. Close the trade, open up your brains. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Vandello 2021.